So, Julie, how did Abdul first come into your life? I mean, you've been fostering children for a long time, haven't you? What was the first you heard about this boy?
I just had a phone call to say that a 12-year-old asylum seeker had come into social services and would I be able to take him?
And what did they tell you about him at that point?
Nothing really, just he was 12 years old. There was no information and, would I be able to take him for a few nights? And I said yes.
Julie, you say that, 12 years old, but when you saw him, when he arrived, what your gut reaction was, he doesn't look 12.
When I walked into the room, I didn't think that he was the person they were referring to. He looked about 19. He was very quiet and very timid. Obviously, I just took it like he was in shock.
So even though you thought he looked older than the 12-year-old boy they were telling you he was, you said, well, I'll take him anyway, because that's what you do. You care for children who need help.
I didn't want to hurt his feelings or anybody, but I don't usually take teenagers. I take younger children, but I just thought, he needed a home, and I just didn't think any more of it. We went to a dental appointment and the dentist age assessed him between 18 and 21. I didn't know at the time, but under Merton's law, they had to give him the benefit of doubt. But because he claimed he was 12 and the dentist aged him at 21, they placed him with me at 16.
They averaged him?
They averaged him, yeah.
What was he like to start with, and when did that change? What did you notice had changed his behaviour?
He was lovely in the beginning. Very humble, very polite and very thoughtful. And then as the weeks were going by, I started to notice that there was a change in him. I was comparing him to my boy, and I just felt he was more mature than my boy was.
You found out, didn't you, that he had been arrested in Belgium. He had had a bone density X-ray, and they had said, you're not 12, and sent him on his way. Why did social services not tell you that?
I don't know. I found out that he'd claimed asylum there as a 17-year-old, and that was my concern. I couldn't understand why this information hadn't been passed on to me.
You were also getting concerned at this point about his behaviour. You said he completely changed from this boy that said, I'm a simple country lad, he was quite polite and gentlemanly, to actually becoming quite aggressive. How frightened did you become of him?
I became very frightened. He became quite menacing. After I set up a Facebook account for him, I was hoping to help him find his family, and then shortly after he was receiving these phone calls where his manner would change dramatically, and he became quite intimidating and quite threatening after these phone calls.
Did you feel eventually quite scared to be on your own with him?
Yes.
Is that when you phoned social services to rehouse him?
I was concerned because if they asked him to rehome him, I didn't want him to go to another family because he wasn't who he was claiming to be.
What was he doing specifically that made you think, I'm really frightened in my own home now?
I can remember one day he went up to the fridge and he was looking at a photo of me and my daughter as if he was trying to intimidate me through my daughter. My daughter was stood there and I can remember thinking, don't turn around, don't. I knew and I could see what he was doing in the corner of my eye, but I just carried on wiping up. He walked right up behind me and I can still feel his breath on the back of my neck, and I can remember feeling petrified.